is so smart. Like, you guys played in the league forever. They agree with you. They know what's up. Stephen A., we told you your list is SUSS.
Oh, so bad.
All right.
So bad.
Whatever. I'm not worried about you.
All right. But I loved how you tried to, wait, this is the best thing.
Y'all will learn the error
I
of y'all
loved,
way.
real quick, how he tried to redeem
Minnesota.
himself. He's projecting ahead. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Derek Carr and the Saints have been one of the stories of the early season, scoring 91 points through 2 games. Carr had 5 TD passes, which is tied for the league lead, and has the best QBR. Sam Darnold has the Vikings off to a surprising 2-0 start after upsetting the 49ers on Sunday. Darnold has consecutive games with multiple passing TDs for the first time since 2019. Go on with your bad self. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs also 2-0 after an upset win in Detroit. Mayfield has 5 TD passes through 2 games, and he also ran for a score on Sunday. And then there's Geno Smith and the Seahawks, also 2-0. After winning in overtime Sunday in New England, Smith has consecutive wins against AFC opponents for the first time since he was a rookie in 2013. All right, Shay, I want to start with you here. Which quarterback has had the most impressive resurgence? I love a good comeback story.
I'm going to go Baker, because you have to understand, he got unceremoniously released in Cleveland. And then he went to that cesspool, which is Carolina, and he couldn't even make it there. Now, we understand he also had another layover. He ended up getting released from Carolina, and we know he wasn't going to stay because Matthew Stafford was at the Rams. So I got no problem with them moving on, even though he came in when Stafford was hurt. So I got no problem with them moving on because Stafford didn't win a Super Bowl. And then he goes to Tampa, and he's found a home. Good receivers, Evans and Godwin, nice running game, defense that plays really, really well. So for me, I'm going to go Baker, considering, there's always greater expectations when you're the #1 overall draft pick and you play the quarterback position. But for him to be dismissed from like 3 different teams in a matter of a year, and for him to refine himself and to be doing what he's doing, I like Baker Mayfield.
Jeff Saturday?
Listen, I appreciate Baker Mayfield. Geno Smith is the obvious answer. Man was out of ball for like 6 years. I mean, he was backing up for 6 seasons that everybody thought he washed out, couldn't do it anymore. He comes back and basically puts the Seahawks back on the map, replacing Russell Wilson, who won Super Bowls there and had a storied career. Some people will say a Hall of Fame career there. Geno comes back there and puts it together, goes to the last 2 years, goes to Pro Bowl. Got him to 2-0 again this year. This kid has had a resurgence like none other, and much respect for what he's battled. Because when I think about what Mayfield walked into, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a good team. They had a good defense, a good run game, 2 really good receivers. They were set up to win. I think not only did Geno Smith have to get into Seattle where it was real wish-washy. Now he's got a new head coach, all those things. He has stabilized that football team. I got to go Geno Smith, the tip of the cap to this man.
I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield. I'm gonna agree with Shannon on this right now. 3rd in TD passes in terms of his rankings. His rankings since joining the Bucs at the start of last season. 3rd in TD passes, only behind Dak Prescott and Jordan Love. 8th in passing yards. 9th, tied for 9th with 11 wins. All right, and his passer rating is ranked in the top 10 as well. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at his performance thus far this season against the Blitz. He's completed 80% of his passes. I'm looking at what we're seeing from the Buccaneers, and I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield on this.
Saturday, you forget now, when Geno went to Seattle, he did have DK Metcalf. He did have Tyler Lockett. So it wasn't like Seattle was devoid of skilled position players, because they had some also. But I just think the fact of the matter is, think about it. You're in Cleveland, and it's like, you know what? Even without knowing, we good. We're gonna go get Deshaun Watson. Move on from you. Then he goes to Carolina. How you not make it in Carolina though?
Speaking of Carolina, Jeff, I want to come to you on this. We were asking earlier, obviously, about the Bryce Young news, right? Getting benched for Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
Do you believe that he can make a resurgence? Because Shannon and Neek were talking about the fact that a lot of it has to do with the situation where you're drafted, the parts you're at, and so many other pieces beyond just the player. For sure.
I think he has to go either they have to get stable in Carolina, or he has to go to an organization that is stable. And whether that's a place like San Francisco or somebody who knows how to develop quarterbacks, whether that's Mike McDaniel in Miami, who knows what situation he'll find himself in, a Mike Tomlin type situation where he goes and backs up and just learns about the game without all the pressure of having to turn an organization around. And maybe him watching Andy Dalton, because I do think it has progressively gotten worse. I think it is a good time for a break. I don't think what the Panthers are doing to him is a bad thing, but I think he deserves another chance. Is probably my point. So I think he does deserve another opportunity, but you got to get in a stable environment where you have pieces and parts around you. And we're making the same point. Geno Smith had talent around him. Baker Mayfield had talent around him. Sam Darnold now has talent around him, right? I mean, you look at these guys who are rising to the top, and it's not because they're devoid of talent and they got an S on their chest. It's because everybody around them is good as well, and they're part of a team as instead of being the team. Yeah. I think that's the difference for what Bryce Young needs.
Well, what you're saying really, Jeff Saturday, is this. You need to get him the hell out of Carolina. Let's just call it what it is. That's what needs to happen. Dave Tepper took over in 2018. This is the 7th season there as owner for the Carolina Panthers. They've had 7 different head coaches.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. 7 different head coaches. That makes no sense.
Crazy.
Ron Rivera, interim Perry Fuel, Matt Rule, then an interim Steve Wilkes, then Frank Reich, then interim Chris Tabor, and now Dave Canales. I mean,
no,
7 different head coaches.
You're right.
In 7 seasons.
There's no stability.
He's got to get out of Carolina, because I think that the team, knowing how bad this situation is with ownership, you don't have a savior at quarterback.